Chaos is in our economy, it's in our businesses, it's in our political systems, it's in our technology. Like everything is changing so quickly, and it's natural to just feel stressed. But when we feel stressed, right, we're back in that fight or flight. And if you're there, you cannot innovate your way out.
Hello, beautiful people, leaders and light keepers. It's Michele Phillips, and we are here to have another episode of Write Your Outcome. Now, I've just met Rob this morning, but I've had the privilege of reading some of his brand new book that just came out in August. So I can't wait to tell you all about it. Before I dive in, I'm going to read all about him because he has a pretty hefty resume, and I want to make sure you know what a fabulous human being you are getting a treat to listen to today. So, Rob has impacted clients and audiences as far as Japan, Australia, across Europe and the USA, and throughout his home country of Canada. In 2023, he was handpicked to speak at TEDx in Kamado, Japan, and was selected as the top 100 most dynamic leaders by Echelon magazine. Not limiting his impact to clients, Rob co-hosts the Leadership Launchpad Project podcast, ranked number 3 in leadership podcasts in Canada by FeedSpot. He has also appeared on over 400 podcasts, heard by hundreds of thousands of people. Rob is not a coach for people who want to stay average, and that's why he's on this show, and I'm really excited to dive into this. With a client roster including Fortune 500 executives, C-suite leaders, visionary entrepreneurs, and Olympic gold medalists, Rob only works with top performers who want to dig into the work so they can achieve huge results. He is the right coach for you if you're driven to hit your pinnacle goals. Rob has foundations of high performance as he's graduated from Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, with a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering, a minor in management. He was a 3-time academic All-American NCAA water polo and played on the US 18 Canadian national water polo team. You do not hear that very often, or I've not heard that very often. His new book is called Capitalizing on Chaos, The Executive's Guide to Succeed in Disruption. So I love this topic so much. Welcome, Rob, to Write Your Outcome.
Thanks for having me, Michele, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, I'm so excited to dive in. So I always say control has always been an illusion. You know, we have this belief that we are in control, and we really are only in control of ourselves. And this is where your book stems from. I got the privilege of reading some of your book this morning, and you talk about living the kind of, I call it picket fence syndrome, right? They tell us we should grow up, go to college, get married, have 1.2 children, and, you know, buy a house and live happily ever after. So I want you to tell me, what was the defining moment when you realized that this outcome that you had written needed to be rewritten for yourself?
It's right. I was raised as a high achiever. My parents they were all about the picket fence outcome, right? That's what they grew up with, and that's what they had. And that's what led me to, they were like, do well in school, get into the best college, get a good job. And then, you know, you'll have that house and the wife and the 1.5 kids, golden retriever, and you'll be happy. And I remember it was actually in January 2020, my long-term girlfriend and I, we went to Hawaii for her best friend's wedding. And on the outside, right, I had it all. I had that thing. I was in a stable engineering career. I was making 6 figures. And I was in this long-term stable relationship with the woman who'd become my wife. And we were walking on this beautiful beach and the sun's shining and there's people out surfing. And we came across this Volkswagen van. And at the back of the van, there was a wooden box full of fruit and a cardboard sign that said, "Take a fruit, leave $1." And in that moment, it hit me was the people who lived in that van, those were the ones who were out surfing. And they were living life one wave at a time, free to experience and to do what they wanted to do. And I heard a tiny voice in my head say, Rob, I would love to do that. And immediately I heard that stern, judgmental voice that said, Rob, I will never let you do that. And that was the moment where, for me, I decided not to be led by fear and chaos any longer. And at that time, I was suffering from depression. I was having panic attacks. I was having suicidal ideation. And it was like that judgmental part of me is keeping me stuck in this career and this life that I don't want. It's not mine. And I had to change, and I had to learn to lead myself in order to eventually, if folks are watching this, the background is real. And so now my wife and I were down in Costa Rica. We're not on the beach, but the weather's still beautiful.
Yeah. So, oh my God, there's so many great things here to talk about. I want to get to your book, but I want to kind of get to the process that got you there, because I think anyone listening can relate to what you're saying. We get sucked into, and my parents never even said those words to me, but it was still like by osmosis, like this is what you're supposed to do. And for me, I went to a Jack Canfield seminar, oh my God, in 1997 out in Santa Barbara. And I realized there was this whole other way that I could live life. So it was this light bulb moment that said, okay, I'm going to do it on my terms, not on someone else's. So I know my story. It took me, a while to put the pieces in place so I could leave my corporate job. But tell me what steps, like what did you do next? Now you have this great realization, but what comes next?
For me, it was the deep inner work. Because when you hear those voices, it's actually real. So like we're taught we're this mono mind and we should only have one thought. But I'm sure everyone out there has experienced some version of like the devil and angel on your shoulders, or these thoughts that are like very polar in opposite directions, but they come immediatand after each other.
I've named mine Wanda and Grace.
Yeah.
Wanda is not very nice.
Right. And like that was part of the process that helped me. It's called internal family systems. It's therapy. I actually coach it, use it with my clients now, but it's a way to interact and lead those parts of us because they're all trying to help us in different ways. And even that part that wants you kept in that life you don't want, it's saying, you know what, Rob, it's safe. You're getting paid. It's secure. You have control and predictability.
He's making air quotes for anyone listening.
Yeah, right? You have control and predictability where if you just go out there and you start your own business or you go to the beach, like, what are you going to do? That's crazy, right? But as you start to go down that journey, it's literally like leading a team at work. It's like you got to build trust with those parts of you. You got to listen to them. You got to give them compassion and love because they're actually just child parts of you. And they're stuck in the past. And as you work with them and give them love and compassion, they open up to new ideas. And then you can take them from the past all the way to where you are now. And that's when you can start to live your life. And then it's like, it's not that they go away. Like this ego death thing is that's not real. Like it can be temporary, of course, but it's not like a real thing that most people experience. And it's just now it's about utilizing those. And instead of them being driven by fear, it's like you're a coach on a bench and you're going, hey, I need you now. I have that high achiever part of me still. And I go, hey, I need you to write the book. Right. So put them in. And then it's like, at the end of the day, it's like, well, I'm going out for dinner with my wife. Okay. You're back on the bench.
You're saying so many good things. And I want to just go back to the therapy piece. I always say there's a saying, therapy is wasted on the insane. Not that they don't need therapy, but we all need help. We all need, whether it's a therapist, a coach, a book. I mean, books can be the greatest teachers when they open your mind. So I love what Rob's saying is like, he knew like, I got to start with me. And I wish anybody listening, his background is this lush, beautiful forest in Costa Rica. It looks absolutely magnificent. And I think, really going inward, and Rob's book, which we will get to in a minute, is, the title of his book, I want to read it one more time. Capitalizing on Chaos, the Executive's Guide to Succeed in Disruption. You cannot lead other people until you learn to lead yourself. And I always say, manage your nervous system, but I like how you put it. You said, I'm the human operating system. So when you can find that calm in the craziness, right, then you can manage the disruptions that are in our world. So I'm going to hold off on the book a little bit. So you go to therapy, you start finding these pieces and you start managing them. And there's this kind of goal I'm hearing, like I want to live on the beach and maybe sell, souvenirs out of a van, which I read in your book. So what's the next step? So what is the next action you take after therapy starts to click in for you?
Yeah. So I was doing a lot of things all at once because I'm a high achiever. So I was doing therapy. I had a coach. I was taking trainings. It took a little while, like probably about 6 months, but then I started taking trainings about becoming a coach. Like in January 2020, I didn't even realize that would be a job I would do or want, right? But then I got certified. I started taking like the Brene Brown training and like these different ones. And I started coaching off the side of my desk. And like I was still working full time as an engineer. And then the things started to somewhat start clicking into place. Like this was during COVID, and like we bought a dog who was really helpful for me in terms of my mental health, as well as like I started coaching full time in 2021. And then it was like things just started to build. We didn't even have clients in Canada at that time. And so I was basically fully remote. And then it took another year or so, and my wife was burnt out. She was working at a seniors home during COVID, which was crazy. And in that chaos, she just got burnt out. And so in 2022, we decided, hey, let's think about moving south. So she quit her job at the end of 2022, and then she spent 3 months figuring out where we'd go and like selling our stuff and all the other things. And then, in 2023, we made the jump.
I love that. I love it so much because I think who hasn't dreamed of like just kind of going off the grid? And I think the biggest thing I want people to know too is I always say you never make a mistake. So if you sell all your furniture, you quit your job and you move to Costa Rica and you don't like it, you can always come back. So you said something else that's really important. And I don't want to belittle, you said suicidal tendencies, or I don't know, ideologies. There's some serious things that people go through that do need deep therapy, counseling, psychiatry. Today we're talking more, I always say we're talking more about just managing your nervous system and things you could do. But I do believe, I say to people, is it a mental health crisis or a spiritual awakening? Because I believe we are at this precipice in our world where the energy is moving so fast that you can't control it all. So if you can't control what's going on outside, you can learn to control what's going on inside. And that's what I'm getting when I read your work and what you're teaching people. And I love how you say on one of your chapters, chaos is not a theory, it's a reality. And when that clicks in, people go, because people think it's going to get back to normal or whatever that means. But when you know how to manage the energy, you thrive versus letting the energy kind of manage you. So what shifted for you now? What are your days made up of? Like, tell us like the day in the life of Rob.
I mean, the first thing, Michele, is you're right. So if you have, like, I was suicidal, and like I needed professional mental health help, right? And so if you're out there and you're like experiencing these things, and I do also recommend a lot of my clients go to therapy, right? And there's
in conjunction.
That's right. And the best line I love, and it's in my book too, but it's a quote, and it talks about how therapy is the path of tears and coaching is the path of hope. And that's the difference, right? Is you go to therapy, you look at your past, you dig into what's going on in your mind. For me, where I work with folks is, yes, we work on your mind, but we're looking for how to write your outcome, right? And so it's future focused. It's what do you do today that creates what you're looking for in the future, right? And the biggest thing I see with almost everybody is, how do we get out of status quo? Because you know this, Michele, is like status quo is so powerful regardless of even how painful it is. I mean, I'm sure everybody who's listening, if they're working at a job, they've seen somebody who's unhappy. And then you ask that person, hey, are you looking for another job? And they say no. Right?
Yeah, I always say to my clients too, sometimes you make a career decision that doesn't suit you, but nobody says you have to stay there for the next 20 years.
Yeah.
And again, human nature is what we do. And so I left corporate world in 2000. It's 25 years this August. Actually,
Amazing.
August 20th was my 25th anniversary. But for many years, I hid the fact that I had balance in my life. I was embarrassed that I had time to read and journal and work out and meditate. And the status quo was so strong that if I wasn't running around like this crazy book, with so much to do, like something was wrong with me. So it's so interesting how I see that shifting. I see a lot of the, I always say woo. There's nothing woo-woo about everything. Everything is grounded in research and science. We say those words woo-woo, metaphysics, but they're all being proven, and if not, it will be proven. So I lost my train of thought. What I was going to say is corporations are bringing the word mindset, and, I'm using the word energy, and, people are understanding that we need this in our lives. Hello, I am interrupting this podcast with 3 surprises for you. I have been in business 25 years this August 2025. So to celebrate and thank you for your support, because I could have not done this without you, my clients, my supporters, my listeners, you have made this possible. I am offering you 3 gifts because 3 is my lucky number. So the first gift is $125 off my signature Happiness is a Habit video series. This video series is 18 videos, about an hour and a half of video content, an 80-page downloadable PDF workbook, normally selling for about $297. Now you can get $125 off. If you go to my website, energizeyourhappiness.com, and click on the icon on the top that says a gift for you, you will see everything you need to get your $125 off this fabulous video series. Secondly, I am offering a free behind the book mini workshop on my new book, which isn't even out yet. Energize Your Happiness. I'm offering only 12, first come, first serve. A couple have already been booked, so they are dwindling quickly. But I will give you in this 45 minutes, if you get a group of people together, I will give you some takeaways that you can implement immediately, and I will host a Q&A. And thirdly, the best thing, drum roll please, I am doing live coaching right here on Write Your Outcome, if you qualify. So if you are interested in being coached live on this show, send me an email at michele@energizeyourhappiness.com. And in the subject line, write, I want to be coached live on your show. And then tell me a little bit about what you want to be coached on. And if you qualify, we will put you in the queue. So that's 3 gifts for you, 3 fabulous ways to connect. So, claim your gifts now, make it a great day, and let's get back to the podcast. You tell a story in your book about, and then we'll get to got you to get to the book about being micromanaged. And I love what you said. Let's see if I can find it. This boss was micromanaging you so much. And I had a boss like this. And if you're listening, I love you. You know who you are, but I still love you because I worked for a micromanager for a long time. You said you were doing a report. He didn't like it. He wanted the numbers to be what he wanted. So he literally stood over your shoulder and told you what to type. And you said in your book, am I a highly paid engineer or a typist? And again, I always think the people in our lives are examples of what to do and what not to do. I did work for a micromanager who I do love dearly because I knew the good side of him, but he also had this, like everything I gave to him came back with so much red ink. I was like, why am I even working for you? You might as well just write it yourself. Like it was back being in high school. So, what shifted for you to start looking outside yourself? And then I like what you've taken what you've learned and now you want to teach other managers, right? So they don't become that micromanager that's looking over your shoulder. So tell me, you worked on yourself, you started coaching, and now you're the one writing the book to help others. So bridge that a little bit for us.
This is part of how the transformation process works. And so I break it down into 4 steps, not in the book, but more in my talk. And the first step I call it the fire method, because the first quote in my book is from Jamaican spiritual teacher Muji. And he says, step into the fire of self-discovery. The fire will not burn you. It will burn what you're not. And as a shout out to that quote, I use the fire method when I coach people, when I do talks and stuff. But the first step is find your reason. So this is about overcoming status quo. And it's really just a leveraging between, what outcome do you want to have? What are the goals that you want to achieve? How are you going to feel when you achieve those goals compared to what's the pain and suffering in status quo? And you need both of those to be powerful enough to take your focus away from the chaos into this is what I need to do. And this is where I'm going. Once we get past that motivation, now it's about what are the masks that we're wearing or the different parts that we have that are holding us back. And that's part of those voices I heard on the beach. It's also things like, like in the book, I talk about these 6 destructive leadership types. And these are parts of all of us. And so there's parts of us that avoid conflict. There's parts of us that don't feel good enough, so we don't give good instructions or we don't lead well. There's parts of us that get angry and micromanage people because the work's not perfect or, all these things. And it's not that any of us are bad people. It's just when we get into that stress response, the fight or flight, we become bad leaders. That's not like just some guy saying this. This is neuroscience and research. It's in my book, right? I have sources for all of this, right? And so it's about once we identify what parts and what destructive leadership parts that we have and we use more often than others, because a few of them are going to be more dominant, then we can work to ignite them. And that's the second step. Okay. The third step is reemerging as self. And this is where we start to identify who are we underneath those masks. Because for me, that high achieving mask, I thought that guy was me. I didn't know who I was underneath it. I was trained, be an engineer, lean into science and math, be logical, everything's great, and then just achieve, right? And once we deconstructed those parts of me, we had to let the real me emerge. And that's where you can find in the book, we talk about like, what are the characteristics of self? And some of them are like courage and clarity and persistence and playfulness. And you start to use those in your life, and in your work. And everyone has them. You've been in self before. It's when you feel good or you're in flow or you're with your kids or your friends and you're just having fun, right? And then the last step is exactly what you mentioned, Michele. It's expanding and evolving, which is, where do we go from here? How do we impact the world? How do we impact our businesses, our families, and even greater? And that's where the stage that I'm at right now, right, is I did the TED Talk. We got over 300,000 views. I'm writing the book, right? It's already hit some number one on Amazon in a few categories. And now we're moving to expand more, speak more, get out there more, and impact more folks.
So beautiful. And it's this balance, right, between, I think as human beings, we are doers and we are achievers. And the social media world, I believe, has magnified that so much. So we go between, going full blast, 90 miles an hour, to being comatose on the couch with the clicker. And if we're, on the couch too long, we're like, I got to do something again. And then we go. And then we're like, I need a rest. So it's that sweet spot in the middle where we're steadily growing, we're steadily moving, we're steadily achieving, but we're not flat well out, killing ourselves. So I want to ask you some questions about, what you do to stay aligned mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally. This summer, and you said so many good things. So my brain is popping and I'm a quoteaholic also. There's a saying I always say, if you are what you do, when you don't, you're not. And we do, even myself, I feel like sometimes I get identified with, I'm Michele Phillips, the author and the speaker. And so this summer in July, I said, I need to be creative. So I got recertified in scuba diving, I took a painting class, and I started hot yoga. All three,
Amazing.
which just, again, stretched me. That had nothing to do with my business, but that made me better at business.
100%.
So and you also say in your book that you have lots of exercises to create habits, but I want to know, what are Rob's habits? What are your mental, physical, spiritual, emotional habits?
Absolutely. So since moving down to Costa Rica, I'm a morning person now.
I love it.
And so I'm not going to say, well, I lived in Edmonton, Northern Canada, and in the winter, it was dark almost all the time. Well, not all the time, but, like you'd get to work and it'd be dark, and you'd leave and it'd be dark.
Okay.
And
for how many months? This is fascinating to me. I mean, I know it's dark, but I guess I never experienced it like that.
Yeah, it would be probably around 6 months a year. I mean, like obviously in December, like around the solstice and like the, it was something like 10 to 4, probably sunlight. Wow. Of course, in the summer, we would get daylight till 11 p.m. Okay. But here in Costa Rica, like the sun rises around 5:30 to 6 all year round, and then it sets at 5:30 to 6 all year round. And so I get up at around 5:30 to 6. And then I'll go for a run or I'll work out, like I'll lift weights. I'll take my dogs out, and then I do a breathing, also vocal warm up, but it's more of a breathing exercise, like barefoot on the grass as part of a little bit of grounding and get me ready for my day. And then, like have my meetings, do some work. At some point during the day, like I'll take my dogs out and throw the ball with them because they need exercise. And then also I need a little break. And then, when I wrap it up, it's the same thing. I'll take my dogs out and we'll have some fun. And then at night, usually my wife and I will watch Netflix. And we've also done, we also schedule in once a month, like activities to do that, like around here that are amazing. So we can go hiking, we can go to waterfalls. We've done a rappel down a waterfall. We've gone paragliding and surfing. And so there's a lot of we're utilizing the fun that's around here to keep that in our lives.
I love that's so fabulous. And anyone listening, so I'm doing an executive workshop in a couple of weeks. So I sent out an email a week or so ago asking what do you want me to, and these are high executives. And it's kind of the irony is I always say the higher you go up, the less feedback you get.
Yeah.
And the more you need. So I asked them, what do you want? Tell me personally, email me directly. What do you want us to talk about? And what comes up all the time is this balance thing, right? Because their days are just ridiculous. So, somebody has to say, white flag it. We can't live like this. And I love that you said, you're going to get up and read and work out and do your breathing work. And so often the studies have shown that the reason people don't do these things is they think they don't have time to do them. But by taking the time to do these things, you're better at what you actually do during the day, because you are grounded. And I love that you mentioned grounding. I'm a big believer in grounding. For those who don't know, Google it, but it really is the earth is magnetic. It's energy. And since sneakers were invented, we do not touch the earth as much as we need for our own grounding and inflammation and all that stuff. And it could be 5-10 minutes. So anyone listening, think about your habits in the morning, think about your habits in the evening. And I love the break in the middle of the day. You don't have to live in Costa Rica to, go outside and look at the sky. So finding that bliss, it's just that grounding. And do you notice, Rob, do you notice your energy? Is it different on the days you don't do it versus the days you do?
The biggest thing I notice is we had never been to Costa Rica before. And we had 4 suitcases and our dog Winston. And the moment we landed, and of course, we were in San Jose, which is the big city, and we're in the airport where everyone is always stressed out. And yet, when I got off the plane, I just felt my whole body go, ah.
I feel it just you telling the story.
And it's, it's like my coaching in the first month just took a massive step up. And it wasn't that I took a new course or like implemented a new technique. It was just like I was more in self energy than I was before. And basically like my nervous system was down, right? And like it's normal. It's like we're trained, and that's why chaos is so devious in a sense, is like in our regular lives, like we're looking at the news or Instagram or LinkedIn, or we're getting texts and emails and all these things, and it's designed to keep us stressed.
Yes.
And when we're stressed, right, it's like you're getting into the fear response, and that shuts down the executive functioning of your brain. The part of your brain that's responsible for logic, creativity, decision-making, like innovation, and really like you cannot capitalize on chaos if you're in that part of your brain, because one is you're a bad leader for yourself. You can't make good decisions. You're just fighting or flighting your day, like your way through the day. And the other thing is when you're doing that, you can't lead others well, and they won't be able to be creative or at their best at work because they're getting your fear onto them. Yeah. And so it's like learning, like I do some breathing exercises with folks. Like with one of my clients, he used to literally get in the car and do a 3-minute breathing exercise and then drive home. And like that helped him. But for executives, right, it doesn't have to be this long thing. Like I don't need you to meditate for an hour a day. Like I will give you a 4-minute track that I want you to use at the beginning of your day and sometimes at the end, but just basically at the beginning of your day. And then throughout your day, when you feel stressed, it's like take a deep breath in, acknowledge that, and say, I'm human. Yeah. And you can do that when you feel like you're stressed, you feel like you're not good enough, you feel like you're an imposter, you feel like you just aren't able to make a great decision. And like, that's a great way to just bring down those stress feelings and like reconnect with your brain. And like literally a week ago, I did this with a tech team in San Francisco, and they were like, we're not going to use I'm human, but we're going to use Cheesecake Factory as our code word. And so like they work together where it's like, I can say Cheesecake Factory to Michele, either if I'm feeling stressed or if I sense that Michelle's feeling stressed. And now were both working more effectively. And like their whole team of 10 people is now working more effectively. And so it's like it's a strategy you can use for yourself, of course, but as a leader, now you can ripple that out into your team.
You took the words out of my mouth and answered the question I was going to ask, which I love is, some people are, they're working in an office. They're in a room with no windows all day. They don't have access to the jungle or the waterfalls. But they could do a 3-minute breath exercise in their car. They could have a code word. I love that Cheesecake Factory. What are some other techniques or habits you would teach people that maybe are living in a stressful executive environment?
Like those are some of the big ones, right? Like they're quick, they're easy. Some of the other ones are more like connect with the things that you love to do. And so I was coaching a leader, like an executive last year, and he decided 3 days a week that he was going to leave work at 5 and go speed skating because he used to do that as a kid. And he would bring his son and they would go together. And like literally he recorded a video of, he's kind of like a fun guy. He recorded a video of himself and he sent it to his team, both in Germany and in India and in the United States, because obviously they're global. And he said he recorded like this video and he chopped it up and he made it like, hey folks, like I want you to take care of your health too. And this is what I do. And I'm giving you permission to like use this. And it doesn't have to be that, right? Like pick whatever you like, or like, like Michele, you said hot yoga or like going to painting, or like, it's like use that creativity, or even like going for a quick walk. Like I used to go for walks at lunch when I worked in the office because it's like I can get out and then your subconscious is still working on the problems. Don't worry.
Yes.
But you have your best ideas when you're not sitting in front of the computer going, I need to create.
Exactly. It's not forced. And I want to stop you because if you're a leader and you're listening to this, he just said something so important, and it's the leader sets the tone. So I love this guy who makes this video. You don't have to make a video, but you can if you want. Yeah. But the more you let your playful self out, the more you give your team permission. And you said something earlier, and I work with a lot of teams that I see that they're just so high. They're such high achieving that they forget how to play and have fun. So it's, making the time, making the space. We went over a lot about your book. I know you gave us the steps and you gave us the things about the human operating system. Is there anything else that you want to tell us about capitalizing on chaos that just came out August 18th? You're going to tell us where to find it, but is there any other nuggets you want to share with us about that?
I mean, what you said, Michele, is absolutely right. Like there's a stat that says that happy leaders, one is your happiness is contagious, and happy employees are 300% more innovative and creative. And so if you're in chaos, which literally today we're at unprecedented levels of chaos in the world. And there's a stat I use is World Uncertainty Index. And it's just been a straight line rocket ship up since the fall of September, like the fall of 2024. And even higher than COVID, much higher than COVID. And this stat just tracks the number of times government documents around the world use the word uncertainty.
That's so interesting. What's it called again? The Uncertainty Index.
World Uncertainty Index. It's free. You can Google it. It's online.
I like it.
But like for the folks who are like, hey, this is going to return to normal, it's not. Chaos is in our economy. It's in our businesses. It's in our political systems. It's in our technology. Like everything is changing so quickly, and it's natural to just feel stressed. But when we feel stressed, right, we're back in that fight or flight. And if you're there, you cannot innovate your way out. And it's like, that's where controlling yourself, learning to lead yourself is the only way you can truly take advantage of this moment. And if you're not doing it, your competitors are. So it's time to get up and get rolling, because the businesses that come out of this period are either going to be extremely powerful. And if you want to be one of them, you just have to learn to lead yourself, and then you can lead your company, and you can take advantage of this time because there's huge opportunities out there.
I'm so happy you're having this conversation because we need more people that are believing this. You can't innovate your way out of this. I love how you said that. And we are in chaos, but I've been talking a lot about intelligence versus wisdom, right? You can't think your way through something. And we all have this internal wisdom and intuition, which everything we're talking about today, Rob, is, working on yourself, working on your team, working on yourself, working on your team. I want to lead it back to you because that, whatever you call it, internal wisdom, I call it intuition. Not everybody likes that word, but whatever you want to call it, if there's a higher self inside you that knows, you moved to Costa Rica without ever being there. And I have this thing in my head that I'm going to move to Portugal, and I've not been there yet either. So I want you to talk about that decision and how you navigate. I just love that so much.
I owe it all to my wife.
She followed her intuition.
But it was like, it started with that moment on the beach. And then at the beginning of COVID, while I was still working as an engineer, I started to see these remote work visas pop up. Like I saw one for Barbados, and it was like, hey, if you have a job back at home, you pay $2,000. We will literally grant you the visa within 24 hours, and it's good for 12 months. Right. And all you had to prove was like you have a job and it's paying you money from whatever country you're from.
Yeah.
But that was the time where I was like working there, and they were like, well, in 2 weeks, you'll be back at the office, or in a month. Like no one knew. And then that shifted the perspective for me in terms of like, this is real now. And then, yeah, of course it took timing and it took that planning. But for me, it was exactly what you said, Michele. It was like, what's the worst case? Like we had booked some Airbnbs down the coast for the first month, right? And it was like, we'll do that, like totally. But if it's terrible, like I'll pay for a flight home, right?
Yeah.
And we'll just figure it out. But the thing that I think the internal work for me was so strong that I have very strong trust in myself. And like, this was something that I was just like, I will be fine. And like, even since doing a lot of this internal work, like I used to be incredibly afraid of heights. And now it's like, I've gone paragliding. I've jumped off a cliff. I've like rappelled down a cliff. And it's like, I don't experience that in a paralyzing way because I have trust for myself. And so that's the work. And like I'm not saying like go jump off a cliff, right? But it's like when you do the self-leadership work, the parts of you that are irrationally scared of things, whether that's picking up the phone and asking this person out on a date, or that's making a call to your biggest client, or that's, pitching your product, your company to venture capitalists, right? It's like, whatever that is, once you develop that trust, it's like, you can go and do it. And yeah, of course you're going to get no's. Like that's life, but it's not going to be catastrophic. And you're just going to go, yeah, it's a no. And I'm going to take another step and do it again tomorrow. Yeah. Right. And it's like, you take the feedback, you improve it where you can, and then you just keep going. And that's really ultimately how you get to that outcome that you were writing. Right. It's like, it's not that it's just this beautiful straight line. Yeah. Right. It's like for my book, like we pitched like 20 publishers or something, and they said no. And I was like, okay, well, what do we do now? Right. And that's fine. Right. But it's like, when you have a goal, a lot of things will either like there'll be no's, but also things will open up for you that you weren't aware of. And that's the other side of it, right? And that's what you're talking about. But it's also like your brain is now looking for opportunities. And so you see them when they're there.
Yes. So many good things. When you trust in yourself, the world doesn't seem as scary. The minute you said you wanted to go to Costa Rica, this visa thing pops up on your email. Like, what are the odds? Right. So it's those little steps that you take. And every single person listening can build trust in themselves. I always say you try to, make everybody think like you or be like you. I can, even make my own husband think like me. So how am I going to make my town, my world? But I can work on me. So I love everything you're saying. I want everyone to look up Capitalizing on Chaos, the Executive's Guide to Succeed in Disruption. There's so many good things that we unpacked here in this short time, but is there any final thoughts you want to leave the audience with?
Just sit down and write out what do you want to achieve and how it's going to feel when you achieve it. And then what is the pain and suffering that you're experiencing today in status quo by not achieving your goals? Yeah. And literally that will take you 5 minutes. And even just writing down your goals increases the probability that you will achieve them by 42%. And here's the other thing. If you want to share those goals with somebody, an accountability person, you're welcome to just email me, rob@robkalwarowsky.com, or hit me up on LinkedIn. And sharing your goals with someone who can keep you accountable will increase your probability of achieving them to 70%. So in 5 minutes, you will increase the probability of you achieving the outcome you want by 70% or to 70%. And so that in itself, start there. And then of course, buy my book, Amazon, anywhere you are in the world, Capitalizing on Chaos, it's there. And if you want to find anything on me, you can find me on LinkedIn at Rob Kalwarowsky, or you can go to my website, robkalwarowsky.com. Happy to have a call with you. And then also I'll be traveling all around the US in the fall. So if you want to hear me speak, or if you're a company, I'll be probably in a town near you. If not, you're welcome to reach out and we can chat.
Thank you so much. Please link in with Rob, follow him, buy his book. I will be sending out, as I always do when this episode comes out, it will go out on an email blast from me. So if you're listening to this and you're not on my email blast, please subscribe to that. And I will have all Rob's contact information in that blast as well. I know everyone said, we could talk to you forever, but I really could. I'm just really what's the word I'm looking at? I'm motivated. I feel energized. That's the word I'm looking for. I'm energized in knowing that you were in a place you didn't want to be. You got the help you needed and you took the steps to be in a place that you want to be. And you really, really are just a shining, beautiful example of someone who's written their outcomes. So it's just been my privilege and pleasure to talk to you today. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Michele. And I look forward to chatting with you some more too.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, this is Michele Phillips, Write Your Outcomes, signing off on this episode. But please listen in because there'll be another episode next week. Make it a great day.